What's going on, guys? It is Maddie here from DCLblogger.com, and this is probably my favorite episode thingy that I've got going on at the moment. This is the second episode or second update I'm going to be doing, or I have been doing a kind of weekly NFT update on what's been going on in the NFT world, in the crypto collectibles world in the last 7 days or last week or so. I kind of pull out and screenshot articles. People tag me in articles. For those that have been tagging me, thank you. And I just go through what I've learned, and I've realized, taking note of all this stuff. If you can see my tabs, maybe you can't because I'm going to be editing this, but I literally have about 20 to 30 tabs open, and I'll be going through all of these different tabs about what's been going on in the NFT world. So first of all, Decentraland, one of our some people from, investors from Decentraland held a meetup in Singapore. It was on the 28th of February. So it isn't just last week, I guess it's the week before that. But it was pretty cool. I'm going to be sharing with you some pictures that they shared with us. You can see it was by the guys, the Dappers. So 28th, the Dappers, not exactly sure how to pronounce that. So they had a pretty cool meetup, a Decentraland meetup, going through the virtual reality, metaverse, talking about, just the whole concept of blockchain on VR. It was pretty cool, and you can see the turnout on this event. I didn't go. Unfortunately, I didn't go because it's in Singapore. I'm an Aussie. I'm in Australia. So I think I should definitely start going to these maybe when, I get a bit of momentum with my articles and find some spare time. So you can see there's definitely a pretty decent crowd out there in Singapore. Pretty cool to see people come in and share their ideas and learn about Decentraland and VR. I believe this is the first of hopefully many meetups that will happen on Decentraland. I think that is Sol from our Discord, who is an investor in Decentraland. He has some pretty cool properties within the virtual world, so it's cool to see him there. And if you want to join and keep up with them, they're the Dappers. Make sure you connect, especially if you're in the kind of Southern Asian countries. We have this pretty cool DCLbuilder.com. This is not new. I've come across this before. It's from our from the team of Quell Codes. These are the guys behind Chainbreakers. So if you're familiar with the games launching on Decentraland, these guys are building a pretty cool game on Decentraland called Chainbreakers, and you can host quests and games on your land, which is a pretty cool concept. They held their pre-sale in Mana, but this is another kind of tool that they've built, DCL Builder. It is pretty damn cool. You give them your 2D floor plan, and they kind of spit out a 3D rendering kind of framework-based model that you can work around and build on. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And you can see some of the stuff that they have built. If they tell you the amount of square meters, so 610 square meters, that's about, one land is about 256 square meters. So this is about 2.5 pieces of land. To get this exact shape, you probably need more, but it's pretty cool to think that this type of building can be implemented on, it's not that big of a land. This one can easily be implemented on one land, but, depending on how big your floor plan is, that's how much they charge you per meter squared. So it's interesting if you want to talk about that, if you're building something really big, if you want a framework to start on. I'm pretty interested in the technology, to be honest, like creating a 3D rendering from just a basic floor plan. I think there's a video that goes through it a little bit deeper. Let's see, I did find this article, this Medium post. I'm trying to see if there's a way. No. But that's pretty cool, right? I can see people just drawing out their floor plans on how they want their house to be, and obviously not all of us has 3D skills, so we can kind of get the framework going on with this type of tool. So pretty cool stuff from them by Quellcode. We have this little tweet that someone tagged me in. Forgot the name. Muhammad Aziz, thank you very much, buddy. Tagged me in this thing. There's a bit of a thing on Fortnite. You know, Fortnite being a free-to-play video game that grossed $2.5 billion in 2018. I think 2018 saw Fortnite just go nuts. Like, it has become such a big game. Every kid basically knows about Fortnite. It kind of got famous from their little dance thing, and obviously the gameplay. But they got a lot of things right. But in this tweet, it's interesting to see that Fortnite, it monetizes by selling V-Bucks in exchange for real money. Players use V-Bucks to acquire cosmetic upgrades. These are unnecessary, yet make the game more fun. Fortnite has 200 million players. So their in-game economy is this V-Bucks, all right? How much are V-Bucks? Well, they're about 1 cent for 1 V-Bucks. You can see here, how much is 1 V-Buck? Right? So 1,000 V-Bucks is 10 bucks, basically 1 cent. In Australia, we call them bucks. So it kind of makes sense. So 1 cent for 1,000 V-Bucks, but the more you buy, the cheaper they get. So you buy those V-Bucks and then you can purchase in-game items. So I know an in-game economy is where a lot of blockchain games are wanting to head to, but blockchain games and their economies, or the coins that they implement within their games or their marketplaces, usually have another element within the formula. You can see that V-Bucks are consistent. They're worth 1 cent each, or about that, right? Now, what happens if you add an element? What if you say, all right, Bitcoin is the in-game currency? Now, Bitcoin itself is a very volatile currency, as we've seen at this current point in time. Let's not say Bitcoin. Let's say something like let's say Mana. Okay, the Mana token, the token for Decentraland, which currently is worth about 4.5 cents, probably close to 5 cents. So let's just say 5 cents, and it's fluctuated. It's stayed pretty consistent to around about 10 cents, but it's fluctuated between 3 cents at its lowest, all the way up to about 15 cents at some peaks. And it's interesting to see how these tokens, even Engine Coin, right? Engine Coin, I believe, is trying to do the same thing. They're trying to be the universal game currency. It's interesting to me to see how these in-game economies, with the volatility that they have themselves, be implemented in games. How are people going to spend them? What are people going to spend them freely, knowing that they could be a future investment? Are people going to invest in them? How is the in-game marketplace going to react to these coins going up and down in value? So that's something I don't think we've seen being implemented. I know Linden dollars, I think they're called Linden dollars, but the currency in Second Life, I'm pretty sure that was a consistent currency as well. So I'm yet to see how this works out. Mana being implemented in Decentraland is definitely one experiment I'm pretty curious about. And yeah, we'll see how that goes, because a lot of pros and cons to that, and a lot of unknown kind of areas, right? All right, let's move on. We have plenty of tabs to go through, guys. All right, one of my favorite partnerships is Animoca Brands when they partner with Decentraland. So Animoca Brands are a pretty big game development company, and I would say they are the most ahead in, they're the biggest kind of public company that are moving into NFTs and blockchain. All right, so these guys are an early investor to CryptoKitties, and they kind of watched CryptoKitties pretty closely, and from that point onwards have made plenty of partnerships and deals in blockchain gaming space. One of them being Decentraland, one of them being with Atari. So Animoca Brands, if you haven't heard yet, are bringing 2 games from Atari to blockchain, one being Goon Squad. Is it Goon Squad or Goon Wars? And Roller Coaster Tycoon. Now we know at least one of those games, right? Roller Coaster Tycoon, pretty much everyone knows that. That's coming to blockchain. So it's interesting to see Animoca Brands secures, this thing came out recently, 8th of March, Animoca Brands secures $12.6 million contract, expands footprint into China. So this little partnership that came out it's basically to resell the inventory of this company that does a lot of advertising on WeChat and other things. So iClick is a China-based online marketing platform which grossed billings of over $400 million US per annum. It is the largest Chinese independent online marketing platform in terms of gross billing. So basically, if you're not in the advertising space, how it kind of works is companies pay advertising platforms. So basically Android companies will pay Android maybe $100 per 10,000 impressions to display their little ad within apps 10,000 times to people, and they'll pay $100 for that. Okay, now Android is one platform, obviously Google is another advertising platform, Facebook is another advertising platform, and they make their money from companies that want to advertise and spend money showing their ads to people. So basically iClick do the same thing. They have, and it's somewhere over here, they've got like 98%, they can reach 98% of people in China. I don't know if it's people in China or people that use internet in China, but I did highlight something, looks like it's not there. Maybe this bit over here. Access to 98% of internet users in China. So basically this partnership says that Animoca brands are going to be reselling a small percentage of the inventory that's not being used. So basically, if Facebook has the ability to show, say, 10 billion impressions, right? They have that inventory. They have the ability to show their ads 10 billion times in a day to people. But say that companies that have paid for ads have only paid collectively for 7 billion of those ads. So there's still 3 billion ads that are kind of empty, right? No one's really seeing them. Facebook is not displaying them because no one's paid for them. So this is an empty ad inventory. And it's a similar thing. I think Animoca brands have now the contract to kind of resell that. And so for what does it do for Animoca brands? So I'm very interested with Animoca brands because they're predominantly going to be focusing on the blockchain space. You can see here, Animoca works with iClick to expand the latter's scope of activities in the video game sector, providing expertise in mobile gaming, blockchain, AI, and international markets. The partnership brings multiple opportunities to Animoca, including access to 98% of internet users in the Chinese market, an entry point to digital media resources such as ByteData, Baidu, and Tencent, and access to the inventory of Tencent. Animoca is utilizing this partnership with iClick to explore opportunities for new audience reach and revenue generation in China. So new audience reach, they're going to be pushing whatever games they're developing to this new audience that they have, which is very interesting to us because as decentralized investors, as people within the blockchain gaming space, it's interesting to see that the ability to push this and to reach more people is being achieved by other companies. So Animoca brands is really cool. I do suggest you guys read this article, watch this really cool video by Yatsu, or maybe Yatsui. I believe he is the founder of Animoca brands, and he goes through some of their plans, some of their partnerships, some of the cool stuff that they're releasing. One of them being the Sandbox is, I believe, another game they're going through. So here we go, the Sandbox, which is basically a blockchain version of Minecraft, which will enable and allow people to buy and sell their creations, monetize their creations, and bring Minecraft to a whole new level. Basically bring Minecraft to blockchain. So it's very interesting to see how that goes. I do remember finding a note in the announcement between Decentraland and Animoca brands saying that Decentraland will assist Animoca brands raise funds for the Sandbox. So I don't know the extent of the partnership. Hopefully the Sandbox game will have some collaboration with Decentraland. That'll be pretty epic. It looks like it will, because it looks like the voxel art fits in pretty well with Decentraland as a VR platform. So there's definitely that you guys should check out. Plenty of information there. All right, ERC 1155. So it's a new token standard that's being developed or is out there. Pretty interesting. I'm definitely not the most tech savvy when it comes to blockchain and understanding things to this kind of a depth. But basically, what it allows you to do is kind of creating ERC 721 tokens, which is the NFT token standard that we have at the moment. So a new game that wants to mint out, say, 1,000 new NFTs, it's pretty expensive, or maybe even 100,000 NFTs, and they've listed this at the bottom. It's an expensive endeavor to do this because each one is unique, right? So each one is its own contract, and as you've noticed when submitting, when buying and selling NFTs, when you're making estates, it's quite expensive. It's like almost $1 per land that you're collecting into an estate. It's expensive for a reason. So basically this new token standard will allow you to kind of either separate or combine both ERC20s and ERC 721s. ERC, non-fungible tokens, fungible tokens, which are ERC20s, are basically like Bitcoin is a fungible token. Each Bitcoin is valued basically the same. one ERC20 is worth the other ERC20. Now, an ERC21 or non-fungible token is its own unique token. Each one represents or has its own unique ID. And so that the big difference there is that the latter, which is the non-fungible tokens, they require a lot more data to hold and to store. So hopefully this really interesting bit over here. In recent years, fungible digital assets, i.e. cryptocurrencies on the Ethereum blockchain, have been represented by ERC20 tokens, while non-fungible assets, e.g. CryptoKitties, have been represented by ERC721. The two token types are not compatible. Okay, so that's for ERC721s. ERC1155 combines the benefits of both, allowing the incorporation and issuance of both fungible and non-fungible assets. For example, thousands of different types of items for a particular game. Each item may either have a unique index and be non-fungible, or it may be fully fungible with the other collectibles on the platform. And there's a really cool line here that says, this is a huge waste of data. So basically, every single distribution node on a blockchain needs to keep each token's code and interference alive indefinitely. This is a huge waste of data and state size. It's one of the reasons the popularity of CryptoKitties nearly brought the Ethereum blockchain to a standstill in 2017. We all know that one of the reasons why CryptoKitties got so famous, not only because people were paying a ton of money for the CryptoKitties, was because it almost brought Ethereum blockchain, it completely flooded the network, right? And this is one of the reasons, because so much data had to be stored, so much data being kind of move it around. So I think this will allow the kind of token creation to be a lot more easier, simpler, and more efficient. So it'll be interesting to see. I know there has been some complaints over game developers that want to create NFT projects. There's been a limitation because too many NFTs or too many items being released into the kind of the marketplace. It's just a very expensive endeavor. So hopefully this will make it cheaper and definitely more efficient. I will link all of these articles in a blog post underneath this YouTube video that I'm making. So don't worry guys, it's all going to be there if you want to check it out yourself. Another video. Okay, so Carl Fravel, who is who leads some of the teams behind some of the districts in Decentraland. This is a video that he released for Decentraland Conference Center. I do need to make a dedicated video for this because it's pretty cool to go through some of the stuff that they've already built in the conference center. You can see it's quite a lot of land. So it's got different kind of buildings for different areas. It's pretty cool. You can go through the whole video. It's a 5-minute video and you can see what they've been up to. And the design of this, it looks pretty cool. It will definitely continue to be improved with better rendering and all that kind of stuff as Decentraland allow the, increase the kind of limitations that they've put on Decentraland building at the moment. So it's only going to look better. It's only going to be cooler. This is really just an early version of everything that we're seeing on Decentraland. This image was shared by Gothia Zapinga. Hopefully I said that right. I'm almost 100% sure I did not. But basically Zoop from Discord, he tweeted out this, which is pretty interesting. It is a heat map of all the single parcels that have sold on Decentraland. Obviously, the greener it is, the cheaper it's sold for. I think this includes the lands that sold in the second auction and the lands that have sold on the marketplace. So basically, all the single lands, not the estates, all single parcels that have sold after the first auction. Okay, this is a heat map of those lands. So you can see the hotter areas are more central. The more red areas are more central. The greener areas is obviously cheaper. It's interesting to see that there's some random areas where people spent a lot of money. So you can see people spent a lot of money on this. People spent a lot of money on that, on this. I think this was Nessie. I think Nessie honestly came in and just blew a lot of money on whatever he wanted. And a lot of them, he invested pretty heavily on estates. You can see around Genesis Plaza, connected to Genesis Plaza, it's pretty expensive. This area was fairly cheap. This must have been during the early days. This area here, if you're connected to Genesis Plaza, you should expect to pay top dollar to acquire land in that area. You see this little heat map here. We know Nessie kind of bought up this stuff. The more further out on the map, the more greener and more cheaper it was, basically. And it's interesting to see this heat map. I really don't want to spend too much time on each one. So nonfungible.com, who are the probably the leading kind of NFT stats website at the moment. They go through the previous historical sales for a few different NFT projects: Decentraland, CryptoKitties, Axie Infinity, Ethereum Mon, and now they're going to be listing My Crypto Heroes this week. So basically, My Crypto Heroes does really good volume. Also, it usually tops or is one of the top 5 in the charts, like, by volume, either by transactions or by how much ETH has been spent. So it's really interesting. It will be really interesting to see how the kind of the transactions read. Like, are they large assets? Are the frequency of the assets being traded is what gives them that volume? Are people buying and selling their assets for thousands of dollars? So it's going to be really cool, and definitely it's going to be some exposure to us in the West, because My Crypto Heroes is predominantly in Japanese. So it's kind of the reason why I haven't really learned much about them, but I do know, although it seems at the very least that they do really well in terms of volume. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Axie Infinity have started to publish a kind of newsletter type thing called the Lunation, issue number 1. So it goes through the latest developments in Axie Infinity. So it goes through some of the stuff that's gone through over is this going to be a weekly thing or maybe a monthly thing? Doesn't say, but it tells you what's been happening. So 3,000 ETH raised in Lunacia. Basically, that's how much money people have spent so far in the land auction. We all know there's another land auction happening with Axie Infinity. I've bought some land. I think I've spent about 10 Ethereum to buy land there. It's really interesting. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. They're starting to make some merchandise. I know Axie Infinity are one of the leaders in terms of how well and quality wise they've built their game. So Axie Infinity is kind of like a universe where you can build and grow your pet, enter it into competitions, do different things with it. They're kind of exploring the realm of digital pets, right? So it's really interesting. If you are an Axie Infinity fan, you probably have heard of this so far, but if not, here you go, check it out and subscribe to it. What else do we have? Okay, so proof of attendance protocol. This is very interesting. I think this may be also connected to quell codes. I know they just do so many things, but some very interesting, a new protocol, a very interesting way of monitoring attendance. And basically what they're doing is issuing out, and I recommend you guys to check this out if you haven't. Basically, it issues out an NFT token when you attend a certain event. So basically, if you've evented, so for event organizers, you can contact these guys to get them to set up a token that your attendees will receive upon attendance of your event. And when they have that token, in the later stages, if you want to say as an organizer, as an event organizer, that the people that come to the second event that came to the first event can get some additional prizes, maybe get an additional screening of a new movie or something like that, you can start to do those things because now the attendance is monitored and tracked on the blockchain. So it gives people an incentive to go and collect that NFT. It's kind of exploring the use case for NFTs in that sense. So it's a pretty interesting thing. It's not a new concept. The concept has been around for a while. These guys are kind of bringing it to light and kind of bringing it out into the consulting world. So it's interesting to see how that's going to go. Check it out. This is their Twitter, so you can see that they've done it at F Paris. This is the token that they issued out for people. Team Pope XYZ is at F Paris issuing attendance badges. Claim it over in person at the hacker tables. We are by the entrance or in the Telegram group. So these guys do a lot of things, and it's really interesting to see what they push and what they learn in kind of the blockchain space. So there's a lot of innovation happening there, and it's good to just keep on track. All right, so this is $100 million fund that Forte and Ripple, I don't know, I'm just going to call them Forte and Ripple form a $100 million fund for mainstream blockchain games. So you can see even Coinbase has invested in Fuel Games, which are the guys behind Gods Unchained, which are the guys behind, is it Crypto Bots or ETHBots, one of the two. But basically there's a lot of money coming into blockchain games, a lot of funding coming out, a lot of people realizing the potential that NFTs and the how this is revolutionizing the gaming sector. So I don't think it's wise to call, and a lot of people have realized this, it's not really wise to call things blockchain games, because being on blockchain doesn't really change the game much, but it changed certain mechanics of the game. It allows people to trade things amongst themselves, so in-game assets amongst themselves. It definitely will create more activity on the marketplace, because now people have invested their money. The amount of times I have read under comments on phone applications and phone games that I download, a lot of people say, I spent $1,000 on this, and it's really annoying that they upgrade to the next version and now my items are not compatible, etc., etc. But NFT tokens will always be compatible in terms of the interoperable. You can kind of use the same in a different game if you want to, if that game allows it to be like that. And it's just interesting to see that so much money from big players is going into in blockchain gaming. So this fund is going ahead, $100 million, guys, $100 million with Ripple and Fort, to kind of spark the next kind of leaders in blockchain game. Now, this fund is not going to anyone. I did read somewhere here that, here we go, the inaugural fund managed by Fort is primarily targeting game developers operating live game economies with over 50,000 daily active users, and an interest in using blockchain to unlock support for new game designs and drive business results. So basically, if you haven't realized, and I'm going to cover this later on, but a lot of the kind of the blockchain implementation within the gaming world, it's a new revenue model, because the previous revenue model is to get people to buy in-game assets, to buy upgrades, in-app purchases. We've all seen that in phone apps. But this new revenue models, it kind of gets people to interchange assets within the marketplace, and the game will hopefully make money by charging a small fee in that. And obviously, if you think about the math, if these marketplaces or any of these marketplaces grow to billions of dollars being transacted on a yearly basis, then you can think that even 1 or 2% is a ton of money. And all they need to do is support, facilitate, and grow that game. And a lot of the cool thing about people being invested with their money and owning part of the assets within the game is that now they become small time investors in the game. It's kind of like what people are doing with Decentraland. They own the land, and now they become investors in the land. They're interested in this game growing because their investment increases. So it's really interesting to see the revenue model and how it plays out throughout the game dynamics. We have here Blanco's Block Party. Okay, now this game I've heard about it here and there. I think it's releasing in 2019. Blancos is a brand new multiplayer game experience coming soon in 2019. Now, the interesting thing about this is the people behind Blancos Block Party are from some pretty interesting backgrounds. I think they've been, there's people there that have worked with Nintendo. There's people there that have worked with World of Warcraft. So there's people that have come in exploring Blancos Block Party and pushing this game out. And basically, I think it works like this, where you can collect these little digital kind of figurines, and you can have a party with them, basically. So you can host your parties and do all kinds of different things. So we are still to realize the extent of what exactly is going to go on. My God, the amount of kids I've seen do this dance. But it's really interesting. Look, check this out, 137,000 views. Definitely some good quality games coming out there. I'm not, just because I'm talking about these games, mind you guys, just keep a note that just because I'm talking about these games doesn't mean I'm investing in it, doesn't mean I'm pushing them out there. I'm just covering what the news is that's come out. I'm a very careful investor. Usually I wait for the whole early stage to finish and for there to be a marketplace, for there to be a thriving marketplace, so that I can understand, so I can invest in games that have a proven model. And that's very important for me at this early stage of this technology, because there's going to be so many games, guys, that may have good concepts, but they're going to be completely overshadowed when games of great caliber come through. And people are going to move their money out and into these new games because now they can do that. They can sell their assets and put it into these new games. So it's really important for me to invest in the real future games of or games with a really bright future in the NFT space. So this is, Blanco's Block Party, if you want to check out the game a little bit more. This is a really cool interview with Gabby Dizon. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but basically Gabby is from the team behind Altitude Games. So Altitude Games are the team behind Battle Races. Battle Races is a game that's coming on Decentraland, which is kind of like I think it's kind of like a Mario Kart type of game. And some really cool things that Gabby has gone through in that interview. We're going to be able to buy and sell different parts of these items, of these cars. And a really cool thing that he mentioned was that we will be able to host, this is in the kind of late term of the game, not in the near future, but basically eventually we're going to be able to host different race tracks on our land in Decentraland. So again, giving the land more utility, which is the most important thing at this stage, right? As landowners, we want to see what we can do with our land. The more utility we have for our land, the more it's worth. So Decentraland is going to thrive that way. This is a really cool video that goes through some interview about Gabby and Gabby's thoughts on the NFT space. He's also of the same mind that, you know, its marketplace is the new model with NFTs at the moment. So really cool video to watch. Shout out to Blockchain Gaming World. I haven't really seen much of their videos, but this is a pretty cool video that came out from them. But yeah, there's that. And I am really interested in Altitude Games' work with Decentraland because Gabby is pretty active with Axie Infinity. So it's really cool to see basically the bigger the blockchain game space grows, the bigger Decentraland grows, because Decentraland, I think, are a platform, right? They're a base structure, kind of like how Ethereum is for other coins to be built on Ethereum. Decentraland are kind of becoming like the base browser / virtual reality experience structure that other games can come and build on. So their first point of partnerships are going to be these blockchain games and these teams that are already building on blockchain, which are way ahead of other kind of gaming companies at the moment, because there's a lot of things to figure out in the blockchain gaming space, which these guys are way ahead of doing. Neon District. Now I've heard of Neon District here and there. I haven't really looked into it that much, but basically you can join the founders key waiting list, which I have done over here. But first, before I go through that, you can kind of see a bit of the gameplay. Final Fantasy inspired cyberpunk RPG. Yep. Looks pretty cool. I must say, it looks pretty cool. They definitely have a strong followership. I do believe the guys behind these, but the guys behind Neon District also come from a very technically sound background. But it is interesting to me to see what goes on with this. I do know that they have pretty 4,300 members in their Discord, which at this point, if you're having more than 4,000 members in your Discord as an NFT game, and it's an active place, then you're doing really well. You're doing really well, even if you have more than 2,000 actually. So that's interesting to see. You can join the founders list, which I have done over here, and basically I am position 11,000. So being on the wait list for them, I guess it's email collection, so they can have people to push out news to and inform when the game reaches new milestones. But for us, it gives us more. It unlocks kind of early access to their pre-sales and gives us more access to some of their items. So basically, if you're on the founders list, you get a few different perks that you won't get if you're not on the founders list. And you know what? It's just an email address. So I put mine in. I'm interested to see where they go. 2018 was just when we started to hear news of all of these games. I think 2019 is where we're going to start seeing early beta releases of these games and to see which ones are the ones to watch. Now, Infiniverse, I believe, are an EOS built kind of augmented reality land building, I don't know what you want to call it, platform, right? So if you're familiar with Arcona, which is I think the best thing to do really right now is just play a video so you guys can understand what's going on. Where is that video that I saw? Watch the video. I think the first 20 seconds does a good job in explaining what's this about.
The world's digital layer. Join now and be the first to find undiscovered land. Buy land. and augment it with your own creations. Anything you can imagine. Connect with other players. Share your and trade.
Pretty interesting, but I've seen the concept done before on Arcona, which honestly it was around even when Decentraland was at its early stages. So basically you build augmented reality experiences. You can sell those experiences on different parts of the world. So they kind of, I think they try and sum it up pretty well over here, where it's building a digital layer that you can kind of tap into and switch into wherever you are in the world. So that is interesting, but I really feel it's hard for me to fathom this coming into any sort of fruition anytime soon. There's a lot of people that need to be part of this for it to make it work. This is they're kind of doing a land auction. Either they've done it's kind of finished or just finished, or they're still going through with the land auction. There's still land available. If you're an EOS fan, let us know your experience so far. Have you got land and all that kind of stuff? But there's definitely that if you want to check it out. The goal is to create a rich parallel universe that users can seamlessly switch into, allowing them to experience diverse AR content and applications all coexisting and interacting, and a thriving virtual economy that allows content creators to create real economic value while keeping all of this proceeds. So yeah, that's what that is. Arcona, same thing. Arcona has been around for a long time, and I know they're still kind of going on with their sale. That's that, guys. Now let's move to Decentraland, my favorite part. Okay, now Decentraland, there's a few metrics I keep on top of, and that is the cheapest parcel on all of the marketplace. That kind of gives me an indication on how low the barrier to entry is with Decentraland. There's so many people that come onto Decentraland and are like, what? 10,000 mana for one single parcel, which is like, it's like 3 to 4 Ethereum, right? 10,000 to 12,000 mana, and they're kind of dumbfounded that the cheapest land in all of Decentraland is already $500 plus. It's hard to fathom that, but it's the interesting thing. It's only been growing. So the last 2 months, we've seen a steady increase in land prices. We've seen them go from 10,000 mana. Now the cheapest one is currently 12,500 mana for the cheapest land. And another thing I love to do is figure out how many lands stand below 15,000 mana. So how many lands do we have to get through to get to 15,000 mana being the cheapest land in Decentraland? And the answer to that used to be 8 pages worth of lands. I've covered this in some previous videos, but now there's literally 2 and a little bit more pages. So you can see we're on our second page already. So that's 24 pieces of land for a 12 on each page. So that's only 24 plots of land, and we're already almost at 15,000. So we get to the third page, and another 3 more lands, and bam, guys, 27 lands stand between 15,000 mana being the kind of price floor on the marketplace, which is really interesting because it's only reached 15,000 once before, and that was before the second auction. Obviously, the second auction introduced a lot more supply into the ecosystem, which dropped the prices, and now I'm noticing that these prices are going to go up, and there's no real more land that's going to be introduced into Decentraland that's going to be of cheap. There is going to be a third auction in Decentraland, but it's only for the dissolved districts. Now the dissolved districts were placed in really well placed areas, close to Genesis Plaza, close to the center, close to other districts. So they're definitely not going to be the cheapest lands. They're going to be picked up by people that want to build, definitely not by people that want to resell on the marketplace, or at least that's my theory. So like now when we see the marketplace lands increasing in value, I highly doubt it's going to get much less or continue or go down again, unless mana token goes up or down considerably. So unless people lose faith in the project, or mana reaches like $5, and maybe for some reason people are like, whoa, $5, all right, I'm happy to sell my land for 5,000 mana because that's 25,000 US dollars. So who knows exactly how it's going to react to the token increasing and going down in value. But as far as the last 1 year, if mana stays pretty consistent, then like I cannot see this going down that much anymore. Like to get a land that's 10,000 mana, you'd have to be very lucky. A few weeks ago, you could pick up plenty of lands under 10,000 mana. Another thing I like to see is the cheapest 4-piece parcel of land. And by 4-piece, I mean a block 4-piece, because these 2x2 pieces of land, these estates, they're so much better in terms of the space that you have to build. And a pretty cool thing came out, like some people got emailed to test out the marketplace, but someone shared the link, and lo and behold, here we go. Here's the builder and what it looks like. And you can see here, I'm going to just open up one parcel of land, and we're going to compare that to 2x2 parcel of land. All right, so check this out. This is just a one parcel of land. My computer's ridiculously slow, so I apologize for this taking a long time, but let's introduce a couple of different things. So we got there, we got a cactus. We'll put in, where's a big structure? All right, we'll put in a pool. All right, we'll put in a pond. So you can see here, all right, cool. We have a few different structures. It's nice. It's kind of small though. I believe each one of these blocks represents about a meter. If we kind of go in and preview the scene, we can walk around. We can walk around and you can see that one block of land is a little bit of space to kind of go and hang out with your crew. And you can obviously build it 20 meters in height. So there's plenty of space upwards if you want to build a decent experience, a monument or something. This is 16 by 16 meters. Okay, as you can see, each block of land over here, there's 8 of them until the white line, and then another 8 of them. So this is 16 by 16. This is 256 meters squared. Now, keep that in mind, right? Like, check how big this is. Check how big this is. Now, let's do the same thing for a 2x2 piece of land. Let's do a 2x2 and compare that to a 1x1. Okay, so you saw how big a 1x1 is. It's about as big as to, you can build a small house. Now, a 2x2, kind of put in the same structure. So we had this. We have, let's put in a tree and the swimming pool. Okay, so we've got a tree, we've got a swimming pool, and we have this little kind of grassy structure that we had before. Now it's a lot bigger. Check this out. Look how much bigger it is, right? There's so much more space. You can not only build just a little house, you can kind of build a bit of a small mansion, a bit of a conference area, party, a little event. It's so much bigger. Like, to me personally, it just looks like there's just so much room to move in this area, right? One land is still kind of small, to be honest, but yeah, a 2x2 piece is much more valuable in my opinion. So just keeping those two things in mind, I really feel that with the marketplace, single parcel lands are definitely going to be a point of entry for new investors. But very quickly, if people want to build experiences, then they're going to be looking for 2x2s and above. So it's always interesting for me to see where these are at. So 4-piece lands, 52,500 mana. The next 4-piece land is 58,000 mana. The next 4-piece land is, where are we? I think it goes straight to about 70,000 mana. So 69,000 mana, then 69, and you can see that there's only a couple less. There's only a handful of 2x2s, guys. Let's just say there's about 100 4-piece estates that are of this shape. There's about, you're competing with single parcels. You're competing with about 10,000 plus lands on the marketplace that are probably single parcels, or at least 1,000 plus, right? But with 2x2s, there's probably like 50 of them or 20 of them, until prices get pretty ridiculous. So there's definitely going to be, I personally think there's going to be a lot more competition for the 2x2. So I've invested pretty heavily on 2x2s. Let's see how that goes. What else do we have? This tweet of mine that I just kind of tweeted out yesterday. Over 1.5 million mana was spent in that 24-hour period. It's over $70,000. With mana being 10 cents back in the day, this would have been $150,000 spent in the last 24 hours back then. 1.1 million mana was spent just in estate. 500,000 was spent in just parcels. I have definitely realized a lot more activity and interaction on the Decentraland marketplace as of late. I have seen a lot more people, a lot more new investors pop their heads in, say hello, introduce themselves. And yeah, Decentraland are definitely increasing in terms of the popularity and kind of buzz at the moment, probably due to the developer contest coming out and there being a pretty healthy giveaway, right? 50 lands to give away. So that's pretty cool to see. And lastly, guys, some really cool stuff I want to share with you guys. Some of the development that's happening on the building channel in Decentraland. This is by Firefox, I believe, Firefox G. Hope I got the right hope I got the right person. He's built this cool little area that you can explore. It's pretty sick. And if Decentraland, scroll down, when DCL upgrades its Lightning engine, it could look something similar to this. Now check this one out. If Decentraland can look anything like this, I reckon it is just going to be fire. It's just going to be pretty damn cool. I'm going to put this in full screen. This is just amazing. Like, imagine walking through there, having all kinds of experiences, playing games in the corner. You can talk to your buddies. You can go and explore different areas. Each room could be like a different gaming discussion area. You could have a marketplace. Like, the potential is there for sure. But it's really cool to see the caliber of developers we have, to be honest, guys. Like, I'm very, very interested to see what goes down on this building channel, because there's so many people developing all kinds of stuff, and now people are going to be playing with the building contest drag and drop builder. But it's pretty active, and it's only going to continue to grow. So that's it, guys. That's all I have at the moment. Hope you guys learned a thing or two. I definitely did creating this. And yeah, next week I'll be releasing another one. Please share it. Please talk about it in your social circles. Upvote this in YouTube and just help it grow. To be honest, the more people that help me build this type of content, the better the content is going to be. So thanks for supporting me so far throughout the channel. I think my Twitter's at about 830, almost at 1,000 followers. So it's pretty cool and pretty wild to have gotten there. And yeah, see you guys in another week's video.